This is Scott with Don't Forget to PackTheKids.com. We're here on our new YouTube channel. We just got this set up last night. Very excited. Hopefully this is going to work out. We're trying to figure out all the intricacies of having a dedicated channel. And right now we have two playlists going on. So if you're checking out the channel, we've got one that is our Twitter feed channel. It's the same videos that we're putting out on Twitter. Those are limited to 30 seconds. They're called Vines, and it's just a really quick way for us to chat with everyone who's following us as far as our adventures and where we're going. And so you can see that on YouTube and get a higher quality version than you can on Twitter. And then we have the new playlist, which is the As We Travel, and that's the one you're watching right now. And that's a longer form, higher quality videos where we really get to share our travel adventures with you, and we're not limited to the Twitter format. You probably won't see those on Twitter. You gotta come over to YouTube and subscribe. So we're here in Romania, in Transylvania specifically, and we've been outside of the United States now as a family for 6 months continuously. It's been very exciting. We came out January 1st, went into a snowstorm in Istanbul, got snowed in, finally made it out to Athens and down to the island of Crete. Spent 3 months in Greece doing Crete, and then Athens itself, which we didn't get to see until much later. Very cool. And then we moved up to central Transylvania, where we've been for the last 3 months. So this is the longest we've been outside of the United States, 6 months without returning. It's been very exciting, and we love getting the big block of time to really get into the culture and get into what we're doing and not worry about traveling so much, as really just getting to take time to enjoy where we are and get to feel like we're a part of the place. And it's been great. Coming over in the winter and spring, though, it's been very cold, much colder than you think of when you picture coming to Europe, because people really think of coming to Europe in the summer, not in the spring so much. So it's been a little bit on the chilly side for the most part. It's not been bad. All fairly warm locations. And here in Romania, in the spring, typically, we're told, it's sunny. For the most part. There's always some rain. This year has been 2 months of nearly continuous rain, which is nice for people like me who love the rain. It's a beautiful village that we're in here, and the flowers look great in the rain, and the trees, and just it brings out the colors, and it brings the temperature down a little bit because we're in June now, so it would be fairly warm if it wasn't for the rain. But it's made the village a lot more quiet. The kids are not out, the playgrounds aren't in use, things like that. So we really tend to be in the house and not see people nearly as much because of the amount of rain. For the first month that we were here, people were here every day. There's always people in front of the house and going up the side road. But once the rain hits, that gets pretty minimal. So, but we're told that if we come back for another spring, we're likely to see a lot less rain. But we'll have to see if that's true. Weather patterns are changing. Europe has definitely had a very rainy year, but we don't know if that's the start of something new or not. But we're in our home stretch. We have 3 days left. Today is Monday, and we're leaving either Wednesday night or Thursday morning to head down to Bucharest. We're taking a flight to Istanbul. That's all taken care of. Our seats are already selected. We've got a couple hours in Istanbul, and we're catching the very long flight direct from Istanbul to New York. Not quite as long as our flight here, which was Houston to Istanbul. Really long, especially with kids. It's tough. They do pretty well. They sleep. They don't complain. They know how to do it. But it is a long flight, and it wears you out. Luckily, there's movies and stuff. This flight is during the day, so we're going to arrive very exhausted, but we won't feel like we needed to have slept the whole time. So that'll be a little bit different. The other ones we've done coming over are always overnight. And I don't sleep well on planes because I need a CPAP, so it gets very exhausting. But we're very excited to be going back. We're going to be doing some shows from New York, which will be very different. But we're no longer based in the United States, really. So being in New York, we're just as much tourists as anywhere else, except that we know it really well. So we're hoping to be able to do some cool shows and bring you some interesting stuff now that we're getting the whole Don't Forget to Pack the Kids YouTube television channel up and running. We want to keep that momentum going. And we want to help you explore what it's like traveling the U.S. and traveling your hometown. So we're going to see what it's like for me to go to my hometown and treat it like I'm a tourist. And we'll see what interesting things we find there in the same way that we do when traveling abroad. We have a completely different perspective now, having been on the road for a year and a half. That's amazing. We've been off and going for so long. But so we only have 3 days left. We have a lot to do. The packing is well underway. That is always the hardest thing, and Dominica has to handle that because she's the one that gets everything to fit just right and balances the luggage and knows where everything goes. It's a very organized process and a lot of work. So she's into her stressful period trying to get all of that ready because it has to be exactly ready when we go to get into the car. And if anything's wrong, we don't fit in the car. We don't have the right load. We can't get on the plane. It's very difficult. So that's a big undertaking that's underway right now. And the other thing is, and this happens to us no matter where we live, and it's just something you have to get used to when doing long-term stays, is that you buy food, you do grocery shopping, and you have to gauge about a month before you leave exactly what you're going to use before you go. So your grocery shopping has to become very strategic, and I guess it's less strategic, it's very tactical, and we've done better each time. In Spain, we did terribly a year and a half ago that we just had way too much stuff and we left a ridiculous amount of groceries behind. And we got slightly better in Panama, a bit better in Nicaragua. In Greece, we did pretty well. And here we're hoping we're going to have it pretty well tuned to where we're not leaving anything beyond what we absolutely need to for the groceries that we just have to make it to the end. But it's tough because for weeks we are dealing with trying to carefully eat just the things that are left over and that we've already bought, and trying to buy things so that we have the right amount to run out at the right time while still having enough food to eat, which is especially difficult here. When we were in Greece, we had a restaurant down the street, so at the end we would start getting food from the restaurant, we would have it delivered, or we would go out to eat, or just whatever. But here in Baitza, there's no restaurant in this town. There's no restaurant near this town. It's about 20 kilometers to the nearest real restaurants. So getting food, if we run out of food in the house on our last day or whatever, we can't just run to a restaurant to eat very easily. That can be a big deal. So we have to. It's just a lot more work. Being in a small town like this, there's Nigru, our neighbor dog that comes to visit us, is walking down the road. I don't know if he showed up in the video or not, but he's out in the rain checking it out. When it's sunny, he'll run up and down the street and go everywhere to explore. But here we've just had a lot more challenges because of the lack of restaurants and the lack of grocery store. We always were able to walk, whether it was Greece or Spain or Nicaragua, there was always a corner store just minutes away, and grabbing a little bit of extra bread or a few extra eggs or just whatever little thing we needed was really easy. So we could go to the last second and know that we just needed to spend an extra $5 and we'd be all set. Here, same thing. The restaurants are 20 kilometers away, so are the grocery stores. So if we need anything at the end, like a loaf of bread, it's too much effort. We won't be able to do it. So something to think about, and you get used to that. But if it's your first time going out for a long-term travel somewhere where you're going to be cooking at home and stocking the fridge and the freezer and the pantry on your own, you need to think about that. It's actually quite a bit of work to think through and not waste a whole bunch of money. If you're not going to be doing it for a long period of time, I generally recommend going to restaurants. There's exceptions to that. Some places restaurants are just really expensive, but most of the time, unless you're going to be going for a month or more, you're probably going to waste so much on just the wastefulness of cooking at home in such a short period of time with pantry stocking and such. It's better to go to restaurants if you can help it. Plus, it's more fun. You get out and meet people and experience the culture. You cook at home, chances are you're bringing a lot of your own culture and food home with you, your style, your cooking style, so you get a lot less of the place. Even though the ingredients may change, what's available will change, maybe what you're in the mood to eat will change, but you're bringing so much of your own influence to it that you could be doing pretty much all of that at home. But when you go out to eat at a restaurant, you're really being subjected to the local culture. You have to experience what it's like to eat the food that they have, obviously. You have to learn what it's like to deal with a restaurant, what it's like to deal with the waiter, what the food is going to be like, how it's prepared. One of the big things for us here is eating fish, very different than we're used to, nothing that we didn't expect, but a lot of learning curve just on how to eat fish, and how meals are served, how the courses come, how kids are dealt with, how tipping is done, how you pay, how you get the bill. All those things are very different, and you just don't experience those in the same way if you're eating at home all the time. So very excited to be going back. Our big thing that we're doing when we get back to New York is renewing our passports. My passport is expiring, everyone else is pretty soon, so we're doing all of us at once. Another travel tip, we're taking the hit now to renew everyone's passports early so that we're all in the same cycle going forward. That way, we always know that they expire at the same time and they'll renew at the same time, and we don't have to waste a bunch of time with one person renewing when everyone else doesn't need to. So we're taking care of that, and we're going to be in New York for a little while, and then we don't know where we're headed from there. We know that we're going somewhere. When our passports are available is going to be a big factor in our timetable. It's very possible that we're headed to Canada, probably on the sooner side, as early as July. It's mid-June now. But the passports could hold that up. We may be in the United States for a little bit longer, and who knows, we may be doing New York, Texas, we may be doing a road trip. We're playing it by ear. It's one of the great things about being full-time travelers. We're not tied to any particular location or set of plans until the last minute, and sometimes not even then. So the summer will continue to be an adventure, just one that starts in the United States. We're not sure where we'll be, but our next stop from here will be New York. We'll be flying into New York City, but we're heading upstate. So along Interstate 90, we'll be around Utica and Rochester, New York. If anyone is in the area and wants to see us, that's where we'll be. And we'll be bringing you a lot of cool stuff, I'm sure, from there. So look for us as we continue to be filming as we head back to the United States. This is Scott with Don'tForgetToPackTheKids.com reminding you, follow us on Twitter at PackTheKids. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. This is new for us, so we need subscribers, we need people out, we need feedback. Leave a comment. We want to know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see. Is it too much of me talking? Is it not enough everyone else? Is it not enough places that we go? And we know that there's some things we aren't doing yet. We're working on getting those things together. So, but we definitely want to hear from you and know what our audience wants to see. Thanks for joining us.